Hello.
Hi, Ines. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. You know, I was going to ask you, do you think anybody knows that today is Saturday and we didn't see each other on Friday? Does anybody care, do you think?
I don't think anybody cares. I mean, can you tell the difference? Do we? Well, because normally it's like 8 in the morning, right?
Yes.
Whereas now it's 4:15. So maybe we seem a bit fresher, perhaps. Do we seem more fresher
Or the
and
end
present?
of the day, yeah.
Something
Okay.
about the light, perhaps?
Yes, yes.
Because obviously your room is slightly lighter now than it normally has been for the last couple of months.
Absolutely. And I also pinned the door back so it doesn't look completely wobbly, as if I'm living in a lean-to house.
Yes, exactly.
Still looks wonky. I don't know what the hell it is.
Yeah. How you feeling the energy in the ethers this week? How's it felt?
Weird. Only weird because I watch news, and from Greece and Turkey having these terrible blizzards where the airports have been closed, and then this, what's it called, storm, not Nike or something, but it starts with an N. It's sort of a more foreign word, and that is now hitting Scotland, and that's coming down to us.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but it's a very, very severe one.
Oh.
So transportation will be very iffy. And I was talking with a friend about this storm that's heading now as we speak. And we were talking about electric cars. And apparently when it's cold, electric cars take longer, if you can even find an outlet to plug your little electric car in, takes longer to fill up than on a warm day. Everything is more sluggish.
Yeah, it also releases electricity quicker. It has something to do with the form of a battery, because electricity apparently, because you will notice that on your phone as well, is on a cold day, the electricity will go out quicker because there's something about the technology of battery and coolness.
Oh,
and then
I like your Apple. Wow. Okay.
So then the electricity in the battery seeps out quicker apparently on a cold day, which is it's very true.
It is. Well, I know on one cold day, I was tapping my phone. It will not work because my finger was too cold. It didn't work. Yeah, I want a warm finger. You touching me.
That's so fun. And then obviously potential war in Ukraine as well.
Oh God, that's terrible. And then Afghanistan, those people are on the brink of famine.
Yeah.
Not just 10%, not 50%, but 90%.
Yeah.
And I would wage it's more like 95%.
Yeah.
Or 100%. It is so ghastly, so awful.
Yeah.
And you know, I wish something could be done. But I think whatever anybody thinks, we're still all controlled by governments. Then they won't allow aid through. And
it's like political wars, isn't it?
Yeah, they have blankets as a shelter.
Yeah. It's awful.
They're selling their children now just to, they don't want to, but because if they sell a child, then maybe the rest can live a bit longer, is what they said, a bit longer. They're selling their kidneys. And apparently there's a big market in Iran.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know why, because kidney failure, I'm not medically inclined, but I would have thought that had a lot to do with alcoholism or something.
That's the liver, isn't it?
Oh, that's the liver. But what happens with the kidneys, because it can't process the the soil, the waste. But anyway, it's in Iran that there's a huge business going up, and they were all lined up, men and women. You saw their slit over, great big slashes in their midriffs. And that's I bet awful. You anything they had a local anesthetic, not they weren't put out under, because that's too expensive again. It's awful, terrible.
So on this incredibly positive and cheerful,
that's right, looking so perky because
and
it's
gracious notes, Ines, what are we venturing into this week? What are we exploring?
Well, I would really love, as I know you would do, some feedback. Everything that we talk about is actually very positive. Even our introduction, when we talk about famine and so on, it is easier to say, well, I thank you, God, I have a full tummy. I have a selection. I can choose even what I eat. So I'm very fortunate indeed, and I'm warm. And I'll see tomorrow probably. But everything that we talk about It's not because we're putting ourselves on a higher pedestal of knowledge or intuition or anything. These are concepts that were given to us by the power of spirit to help us to cope, just to help us. So last week, we discussed what meditation had to offer. As everything comes through the mind, it is our physical mind which needs to be controlled, and which is also the most difficult control. We might all agree on the simple situation of what we just talked about. We want to help, but then the diversity would come. How? We blame the governments, we blame this, we blame the Taliban or whatever. So that's when the diversity and the control of our physical mind comes into being. Through meditation, we increase the power from the base chakra, which is, of course, is this Kundalini. This power from the base chakra helps the life force within us. It is a life force. It's the electrical force to move up the spine. And that is what one calls to clear or to move away any blockages, mentally or physical. These blockages can occur through our emotional attitudes, such as anger, disappointments, despair, loneliness. What other juicy ones are there? Hopelessness, fear, illnesses, and go on, the list is on. And it is the concentration effort of the mind, our brilliant mind, that helps bring that healing energy, which is what is up from the base chakra before meditation begins. Concentration and then meditation. And this helps to eliminate these blockages. Meditation can take many shapes or forms, not only the traditional forms of meditation. And whatever anyone might say, it is not always the length of time that we take or have available for meditation, but it is the depth an individual is able to reach in any given time, as well as the interest they have to reach that state of meditation, which means I have known individuals, if we take their area of meditation was they needed not hum music or whatever. They needed fast music. It's like going around Silverstone, a racetrack, zoom, 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 zoom. And their meditation was never deep as one would classify it, such as you're moving around the stars or whatever it happens to be. They would see things which might not always have relevance, but to them, their individuality, that worked. And when it came to the exercises, which they partook with me in the group, they were always spot on. So it's individual. And when we went around every time in the group, how did your meditation go during the week? Da, 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 da. Oh, I try, but it's 5 minutes, all I can do. So what did you do? How did you do it? Their own individual mind, it was 5 minutes, and that was it. But their link was spot on. Now, there are many facets to meditation, but meditation in the West tends very much to be directed towards the physical life being enhanced, and not necessarily for the spirit in general. So there are many meditative forms which would concentrate solely on the physical in order to calm the mind and the body. The most sought after quests for meditation are for relationships, for health, for money. And I'm deliberately pausing relationships, health, or money. Repetition is the concentrative point towards meditation. If something is repeated enough, it would then possibly slip into a genuine form of meditation. The mind, you're going to, it's repetitive. Native Americans, what they had at their disposal was a campfire and you went dancing around on the campfire with a drum. Boom, 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 boom. That repetition then got you possibly into a state, and that applies to anything. But let's move on to that which guides. The understanding or acceptance of any guidance is varied and individual. The guides as such are a uniform force, which is called the power of spirit. The power of spirit are all of the guides in a little lump. The power of spirit, woohoo. Now then, but individually, me, Thor, you, whatever, a guide or guides must be accepted in accordance to the individual's mind, and that the individual's mind depends on our culture, on our religion, our general belief pattern. That is the individuality, because the mind, we need something of our own, doesn't it? We all need something, our guide, our star, and so on. A guide is someone that has lived before, and you have generally shared a past life with. Generally, it does not always, it could have been somebody in the audience, whatever. The guide has gone through the lessons you are now meant to follow as well, learn from. And that is why they have been allocated to you. They've gone down the beaten track, so they can help you on your path of life this time, or karma. An individual might feel their mother, father, close friend, relative, whatever, that they know, they say, they're guiding me, they're guiding me. It cannot be somebody that has lived in this life. What can be, it is obviously a matter of an individual's acceptance, and probably because it is mother or father, a feeling of security as they know that person. A person that was part of the individual's life could give guidance, yeah, but it will be through the consent of their main guide. Once the need of acceptance is satisfied, communication becomes more acceptable, which means that the path of life that has been allocated can easier be kept to, so that nothing, so a lot can be lost, so nothing is veered off. In other words, if something within our life does veer off, a lot can be lost, both on a physical level and on our spiritual progression, which we would not actually even really know about. We just know life sucks. That now this statement is difficult. So if my life sucks, what have I done wrong? It's not always, because we're talking about karma, we're talking about lessons. Nobody is God. Whoever gets information from the guides, whatever, you are given information up to a certain point. But the feeling of something's not quite right in your life, it's like a button that's you're fiddling on, God, there you go, fiddling around. It's not quite right. Something's loose, something's wrong. Like going up the wrong street, you don't have a sat nav or anything. That's the type of feeling you get. So linking with the guides is linking with the total power of spirit, all of them. And the next step is then to link with that total force. The total force is beyond the barrier. We all have a direct link with that total force. And that is why we should try to become more positively aware of the power and the feelings of what is around us. And what is around us, these are, I mentioned to you, Thor, before we began, extrasensory perception, reading of the auras, to become aware. Everything has a vibration. What are the little birds saying when you're going out on the street, in your garden, or just walking on the street, whatever it is? But we should become more positively aware of the power, which is the vibrations and the feelings of what is around us. And then also to become more aware of what is coming towards us from the outer regions. So what are the outer regions? Space. Everything is coming towards us, everything. And it's just a fascinating concept. In the developing groups I ran for well over 30 years, the exercises such as ESP, psychometry, flower clairvoyance, and so on, were an endeavor for the group members to feel the power that was contained by something or someone else, as well as to extend their auras, always the members' auras, which are like cat's whiskers, feel in the dark, like cat's whiskers to another person's home, and also to read the vibrations emanating from someone's aura. The reading of an aura is like reading an open book of that person. You can't hide anything. You know what they're thinking. You know their next step, illness, desires, likes, dislikes, their hurt. All of that is in their aura, like the rings of a redwood tree. There will always be alterations to the direction within our life. Life is like that, full of expectancy. We always need to look forward to something within our life, and it is always a different goal. It will not remain the same goal from a 10-year-old or 8-year-old. It will change. Even if you have your goal as a, let's say, as a fireman, this was my goal all along. Fine, it's your job. Then all of a sudden it will change. We cannot see the total purpose of life, but there's always the proverbial carrot at the end of the stick, which creates the motivation to live. Sometimes we need patience, or perhaps learn patience, and we have to do this or that in our life. But at the end of the day, all will have a purpose. The guides are always there. The power is always there. But is the mind always there? And is it receptive? Our mind is the sole method to find that heaven within. It is the strength and the power of self. It is our free will to make it happen, as well as the power and the strength of your guides to help open and strengthen your mind to find a deeper level of understanding. And that moves very easily into karma, as your karmic pattern will dictate what will be opened and what will be strengthened by your guides, as they in turn are also guided by that total force. And that is some of the meditation. I could go on waffle, but meditation is so important and so worthwhile. And that's just, maybe you believe in outer space. Yeah, I do. But it's also very individual, very individual. And that is, it is cheerful, it is uplifting. There is more to our life. Everything has a purpose. It's not always easy, but what do? Some people cut down the rainforest, and there we are frantically planting little saplings in Britain. You know, it's always a balance.
Yeah, and I suppose what's really interesting to point out is all of that is like, all of what you've just spoken about is experiential, right? You have to experience the meditation, you have to experience connecting with your guides, you have to experience it, and the way to experience it is via the meditation, right?
It is, but also not to be too hard on yourself.
Yeah.
If you are not doing what somebody else is doing, or if you don't have the same results as somebody else, because we're unique.
Yeah, because it's all individual, right?
Yes, it is. It has to be. There's always a guideline. If we start learning something in school, there has to be a format.
Yeah. And well, then, that's often, you know, when I run these meditation groups, you know, some people will see their guides, some people won't. Exactly. Some people won't visualize anything, whilst others will be like trespassing through the universe. And I think, you know, that's the message I always give to people, is like, it's all individual, it's all in its own time.
Exactly.
And that's okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, that's.
So I think that's such a, what you just said is such an important point. It's all individual how it's experienced. Yeah.
It is. Yes.
Yeah.
And I always shy away, unless obviously it varies, but I always shy away if I'm told this is the only way. And my first question, why?
Yeah.
If I know why, that's no problem. You know, it's you know, don't touch a burning stove. Why? Find out, Johnny. Put your little hand on it and find out. Yeah. Don't listen to mommy. I'm fine with that.
So just to ask you a question, because I'm not sure if you covered it entirely. You said that a person from so let's say a person from your life passes away and you go into meditation and you see them. Why is it that they can't be your guide? Like, what's the reason for that?
Because you've shared a guiding force is someone who has gone through the lessons. If somebody is just walking beside you, in this particular lifetime, they have not gone through that same channel.
Okay.
It is a guide joins you at birth. So mommy and daddy have been there. Sister has been there. Even if you take a twin, let's say they were born the same second of time, but they are twins because their spirits have split, or quadruples, whatever quantity. They are split. And they are split because each one of these little darlings is learning a little bit different. All of the different learning sessions, they will each benefit from. So they are each learning something marginally different, but they will all share in that experience. But a guide is allocated to you at birth.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. That makes a lot of sense. Just wanted to pull at that just for clarity. Yeah, that was the only thing which didn't make. That was a bit like, I wonder why. Yeah. Thank you so much, Ines.
Thank you.
As always, such a pleasure to learn from you.
Oh, thank you. And from you, yes.
Said with an extra soft voice, as we do.
That's it. Well, I hope you have a really good tomorrow's Sunday. Have a good Sunday tomorrow.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for listening, and see you all here back again next week.
Brilliant.
All right.
Take care of yourself.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye.